Hello dear Rover fans. I've had a little bit of a break from working on the car for a couple of days because I ended up with an infected elbow joint, which was good fun. The swelling has pretty much gone down now. I don't know whether it's even apparent that there was ever anything wrong, but it was. Swollen, very stiff to move and blah blah blah. Went to casualty yesterday, got antibiotics, whatever you call them. Also issued some man-up pills by my fiance, so all in all, pretty good, all things considered, but I'm not going to be using this arm as much as I otherwise would have been, so I'm just going to poke at things really, but the next sensible job is to replace that B-pillar, so I'll want to cut out all of the rot, trim off the top of the sill where it's rotten and put a new section in. There's also supposed to be some breather holes that go from the B-pillar into that, so I'll need to drill holes for that. And then it's a case of chopping up that B-pillar, prepping it all nicely and welding it in. So I won't do any welding, but I will at least have a go at working out where I'm going to cut it and doing some of the initial chopping, which I should be able to do one-handed, or you know, with a little bit of assistance from Mr. Left Hand where needed. What? Well, I just got told off for maybe being a bit silly and doing stuff when maybe my body's not ready for it. But I've assured my nurse that I'll just be using my right arm now. So I've got most of the cuts done and we can have a look inside. You might think that I'm being an idiot cutting that much out of a structural area, but these cars, I think I've said it in a previous video, they're incredibly torsionally stiff because that is basically one big triangular box section. And you've still got so much strength in bending in this bit and in the roof rail, and I'm not actually separating the back of the B pillar, so I'm not going to change the height dimension. So, and I've done it before and it's never been a problem, as long as you leave one of the doors open and you can keep sort of reference checking things. There's no way that's going to bend. You'd have to be chopping a hell of a lot more out of this to cause it to bend. So I'm just going to make little cuts. I do have a reciprocating air hacksaw somewhere, but can't find it and I can't be bothered to bring the compressor down here. So I'll be doing it by hand. And when I say hand, I do mean by hand, one hand. You can just see these are the plastic bungs, rubber bungs, that allow water or air, I thought they were for air circulation, but if they've covered them off, they obviously didn't care that much about it. You can still see cavity wax on the underside of them, solidified. So I think this car must have been Z-barted from new, because you don't ordinarily get that. So that's why a lot of these sill sections and things internally are basically perfect. That's just surface rust that's dropped inside from where I've been making my incisions. Hopefully when that's all out the way, I can drill out the spot welds, and I should be able to do that one-handed actually, so maybe I can do that. But yeah, I'm going to cut through there now one-handed, which I can do. I'm allowed to do that. Not that my fiance ever watches these videos, but I might get grassed up by somebody else. Plus she probably is right. I don't want to have to go back to casualty. Although coronavirus is great because, well, it's not great obviously, but casualty was basically empty. Most of the time I go there, it's busy. I have video proof that that was one-handed. Cool. I would have done a reference measurement to show you that that won't have moved, but couldn't be bothered. Shame to have to cut that bit out actually, because the middle bit there is solid. In fact, I don't think I'm going to bother. Will I bother? Don't know. Right, I'm going to go find my drill and spot weld drill bit. Quite fortunate in that where this was spot welded in here and here, it's actually rusted away. So there's only 2 spot welds holding it, which I think I should be able to get to both of them. My spot weld drill bit. That's out. See, again, there's absolutely no corrosion on the underside. It's completely covered in cavity wax. So any rust has been from the top down, which just shows that it's nothing, well, build quality, I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's just poor maintenance. This car would have been fine if it had just been used. Putting it under a car cover is the worst thing you can do, really. That's a shame. I really need to get a hoover in here. But once again, let's just try and show in here. There's basically no rust. I have just spotted something there that I didn't know about. There's a joggled sill repair, so maybe that's why it was looking so good underneath. That obviously somebody has repaired in the past. That bit of red oxide there, that was me. It does look like it's had a sill repair in here somewhere. You wouldn't have known. Oh, there's perhaps a telltale sign. That little step there. But you really wouldn't know. They've obviously done quite a good job. Yeah. So that all needs cleaning up now. I'm not sure how much more I'm going to do tonight, because I probably should let my arm rest. Progress is being made still. In there is a reinforcer for the hinge, so I've been careful not to attack that, so I can join the skin section below it without messing it up. That's good. One of these wires is for the courtesy lights and the other one is for that up there, which I think is for the smart right alarm system. So that doesn't need to stay, that can come out. But yeah, that all looks good. That needs a bit of dressing, but really quite a manageable repair. I'm going to go and check what size steel this is and whether I've got a good stock of it, and also try and find my metal folder, because I'll need to fold up a nice section with that profile in it. Just going back to the steel sizes again. This is my digital calipers or verniers. So that with paint and under seal, or not under seal, but wax and everything, is about 1.2. This is my sheet of 1.2-ish, which I think is 16 gauge or 18 gauge. So basically that's the right stuff for there. Just need to I can't find my folder. I don't know what I've done with it. I think I must have left it at work, but I need to be able to make a nice profile for there. Annoyingly, I think these sills, when they come from factory, have steps in them to help you work out where to locate the B pillar and here. So can you see it actually goes along and then down and then under. So this probably came along, then went down where I had that bit. In fact, you can see it on here. You've got, that's the level of the sill, and then it dropped down for where the B pillar sat on top. So that'll be fun trying to replicate that, but we'll get there. I'd be lying if I said my elbow was fixed, because it isn't, but it's probably 4 days since I did the last video where I got shouted at, and I've thought I'd give it a little workout. I'm not doing anything crazy, or if I feel it hurting a lot I'll stop again, but basically chopped out a piece of steel the right thickness and about the right size to start trying to replicate this. And I've brought this outside because one end has the correct profiles on it. I still can't find my folder, but I'm not sure it would have helped greatly in this anyway, because you can't do opposing curves very easily in the folder. So I'm going to try and do it all freehand with clamps and bits of angle iron. Wish me luck. I cannot begin to tell you how frustrating this is. That's about as far as I got before I realised my elbow is not up for this, and it actually really hurts now. So I think I'm going to have to stop. It wasn't going particularly well anyway, because I haven't got enough strength in my arm to push that edge over neatly. And if I hit it with a hammer, because it's 1.2, it's not bending it, it's just kind of denting it locally, which is seriously annoying. So unless I get some heat, which I don't really want to put heat on that anyway, because it'll probably expand it in places and cause the bits I haven't yet bent to ripple up. So yeah, annoying as it is, I think I'm just going to have to stop. I failed to listen to my own advice, and I had a bit more success by working on the ground rather than on the stack of tyres, and using a piece of angle and a bigger hammer to like beat it down. So I've got actually quite a good curve. And ignore all that surface dimpling, because I can actually beat that out again afterwards, I hope. So I'm going to continue. In terms of where we are on this panel, that is that bit. Now I'm going to try and put this return curve in here. That's probably the most crucial of the whole lot, which is why I'm doing it first, because that height there, excuse me, from my index finger to my thumb, that height there is the same, the full length of the sill. It absolutely has to be like that. Whereas this, I can probably dress it in or out, whereas that I don't think I'm going to be able to move as easily. So that's what I'm going to do next. So I've about set that where I want to fold this over to create my return step. Just marked it with blue, and going to give it a hit with a chisel, bolster chisel, and that little hammer, and see if I can start the fold. Once I've started the fold, I should be able to get it in there and then neaten it up afterwards. Yeah, that really isn't working at all. All that's doing is bruising the metal locally, not really bending it. I think I'm just going to give up with this and think of a completely different method. Well, I didn't give up fully again. What did I do? I basically turned it round and smashed it on there and just guessed the height because I didn't bother drawing anything on the backside. Well, I've been working at this for a little while now. Basically, I've been using that hammer with that end, that block and that vise to basically straighten the top shelf, the middle, the bottom shelf, and put tighter bends in, or just clean the bends up. This end is almost perfect. Doesn't look it there. If I lift that up, the height of the steps is maybe a bit tall, but slowly taking shape. Now I'm just bending that lower lip to form the final return, that bit which I've cut off. So that's about as far as I've got at the moment. I've got a crude step in there to replicate what's on the car, I hope. It's not perfect, obviously. This is still just the rough shape, but you can see what I'm going for. I'm confident that I can massage the ends so that they sort of make sense. The B-pillar, as I was saying in I think the last video, this top of the sill would be stepped where this and this join. So when you offer this up to the car at the moment, in an area where there isn't a step, it sits quite proud. So obviously this needs to be indented. Then that would sit lower, and that edge sits almost in that corner, not quite. So when I sit this on my replacement panel that I've made, it's obviously far too high. Like so. Part of that reason is that needs the step in it. And also this corner is not as crisp as it should be yet. I need to round that off a bit more. But it's really a chicken and egg thing now. Do I put the return in at the top and that kind of swage line, or do I put the step in? And I think it's all, I need to know where the base of that goes so I know where to put the step in as well. So I can either take reference measurements off the other side, or I can chop the bottom of the B-pillar off, put that in the car, and then measure from that relative to my gap ends and then put the step in. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but that'll be for next time because my elbow is throbbing a bit and I should really go and give it a rest, I think.